يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم تسليمًا كثيرا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالًا كثيرا ونساء. واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في سورة النساء: وعاشروهن بالمعروف فإن كرهتموهن فعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا ويجعل الله فيه خيرا كثيرا. وقال تعالى في هذه السورة: الرجال قوامون على النساء إلى آخر الآية. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, all praise be to Allah Azza wa Jalla, like always, that He created us as the Ummah of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Special peace, mercy and blessings of Allah Azza wa Jalla be on Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet again, because he brought us these guidelines, this Sharia, which is a lot easier than the previous Sharias that we had for the previous nations, for the previous communities. Inshallah ta'ala, today's khutbah is going to be the continuation of the title, Let Marriages Blossom. When we were discussing this the last time round, we were talking about how important it is for us to A, get married, and B, remain married throughout that life. While of course it might make a case to look at an analogy that if any of you decides to construct a house, and if you are constructing a house, not buying a house, you're building a house, how many times would you lay the foundation of that very house? Most people would most often lay it only once. That's how important marriage also is. When you want to get married, you would rather like to take that decision, a well-informed, a well-thought after, a practical decision. And when you have gotten married, it's like you have already laid that foundation and the walls are now going to erect. So one must exercise a lot of caution while trying to lay the foundation. And after we have gotten married, we see that there's a lot of turbulence. We see that there's a lot of trouble. The first year, the first few months in some cases, and the first few weeks in some strange cases, the marriage seems to be chugging along really nicely. And about a month later, a few months later, or at the most a couple of years later, these marriages tend to fall apart. And if you go ask these people what the reasons behind the falling apart of this marriage is, they would cite that the issues are the incompatibility issues. And we discussed it the last time round. It's only for the revision, it's only for us to quickly reviewed what we did the last time round, that if you and I extract the rules from the very same book called Al-Quran, and if you and I bow down before the very same Lord Allah Azza wa Jal, if you and I do the Hajj of the very same house, universally, Baitullah, and if we believe in the oneness of Allah Azza wa Jal, and if we believe that Muhammadur Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the last messenger, if these two people, if a man and his wife have these two common objectives, common denominators, so to say, how is it possible that these two people still claim that they are incompatible with each other? So this is something we discussed the last time round as well. Now, as I had promised the last time round when we were discussing this, that inshallah ta'ala today's khutbah will be based on giving certain pieces of advice to men and certain other pieces of advice to women, sisters. And in general it is this trend that ladies first, but inshallah ta'ala it's not going to be the case here. It's those people that would like to make ladies fool. That's why they say ladies first, because they want to draw those women out of their closets, out of their bedrooms. That's perhaps why they say ladies first. So, Allah Azza wa Jalla, like I recited the ayah from Surah An-Nisa, Surah number 4, ayah number 19. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, a part of the ayah is what I have recited, not the complete ayah. وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. The first piece of advice for men goes out here, in this very ayah. وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Treat them really nicely. Have a wonderful conduct with them. Maintain that reverberance in the relationship between you and your spouse, between you and your wife. فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ. Just in case you do not like a few things in your spouse, in your wife. Allah Azza wa Jalla is addressing the men here. فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ. If you dislike a few things in your wives, فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا. It is highly likely that you might dislike one thing. فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. And you never know that Allah Azza wa Jalla actually has filled that woman with a lot of beauty, with a lot of other qualities that you may really want to admire about. So one thing or a few things, if you can ignore some of those things, is what Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying. فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ. Even if you dislike certain things in your wife, but if you can overlook those things, but if you can slightly not pay attention to some of those simple small things, then inshallah ta'ala وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to fill complete khair in that woman, in the actions and in the living of that woman with you, inshallah ta'ala. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the biggest mufassir, the most authentic mufassir of this ummah, Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says in the commentary of this particular ayah, and Imam Ibn Kathir rahimahullah makes a mention of this particular comment from Imam al-Tafsir, Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He says that this ayah also actually means that if you overlook some of the defects, some of the faults, some of the mistakes your wives may have, Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to grant you male children. Now, how many of us do not want male children? All of us crave for one male child at least, even if we have 5 female children. Imam al-Tafsir Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma is saying that Allah Azza wa Jal might as well give you male children, and these male children might soon become Islamic ambassadors, the best Islamic ambassadors. Do we not want our children to be the best Islamic ambassadors? In today's arena, where everyone tries to be on TV, everyone tries to be on his own YouTube channel, would you not like your son to play the role of one of those people? One of those ambassadors? Yes, why not? Why not? Although it is a fitna, of course it is a fitna. And you must safeguard against all those kinds of fitna. But nonetheless, you may want your child, your male child, to take care of the surroundings that he lives in. To be the ambassador, to be the best person around his surroundings. So Allah Azza wa Jal has said here, if you could overlook some of these qualities that she has. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, and even before that, how much value do we attach to any will, wasiyat, that our parent might make for us? Our father is dying and he makes a will that you do this with my property, you do that with my property, give this to those people, give this to that people, that person, this person, your children, your brother, your siblings. He makes a will. Do we attach any value to that will, or you think we don't? We do. Honestly, we do, because we love our father, especially if that will is in favor of us. We actually attach double value to that, because we know that, oh wow, this will has been made, tailor-made rather, for me, and I'm going to execute this will. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam has made a will. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, "Istawsu bin nisa." Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, I'm making a will for you, for your wives. Your wives have been created, women have been created in a special way. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, and that the extract of the hadith is that they have been created with the rib cage that appears to be the most crooked one. And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam further says, the highest crooked, the most crooked part of that rib cage is the topmost portion. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam says this. And what do the ulama have extracted? What have the ulama extracted from this particular hadith? Ulama say that when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned that the most crooked part of the rib cage is the topmost portion, which means the topmost portion of the body of a woman is her mouth. She may utter a few such words every now and then, and you may have to keep overlooking those things. And if you could do that, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam actually further says, if you try in tuqimuhu kasartahu, if you want to try and make it straight, that crooked part of the rib cage, if you're going to try and make it straight, you might as well break it. And you might repent after having broken it. Therefore, if you leave it like that, you might as well benefit, you might continue to reap benefits throughout your lives. So this is one piece of advice that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam gave to us. And that's why I said, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and by the way, this particular will was made about 3-4 months before Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam departed from this world. In all true senses, it actually is a will. This particular thing that I talked about also figures in the long khutbah of Hajjatul Wada. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam talked about it, which means that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said something as important as this, and Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam left this world about 3-4 months later. That's how much important it becomes for us to ensure that we execute that will. And also, like I said, this will is in our favor. If we try to straighten that crooked part, we would break it and we'd not be able to benefit. And if that marriage falls apart, and I'm still talking about how that particular will is in our favor. If that particular marriage has fallen apart, now the guy is once again looking out for another bridegroom. And if that marriage also a couple of years later falls apart, how many marriages do you think you're going to have? And how many foundations that way you're going to lay before you actually erect a structure? That's not possible. Another thing that I'd like to talk about. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ فِي النِّسَاءِ. In the case of women, fear Allah Azza wa Jalla is what Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam is saying to us. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ فِي النِّسَاءِ. As far as women are concerned, fear Allah Azza wa Jalla as far as they are concerned. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam further says, فَإِنَّكُمْ أَخَذْتُمُوهُنَّ بِأَمَانَةِ اللَّهِ وَاسْتَحْلَلْتُمْ فُرُوجَهُنَّ بِكَلِمَةِ اللَّهِ. The reason Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam wanted us to fear Allah Azza wa Jalla, have piety, be pious as far as women are concerned, is because فَإِنَّكُمْ أَخَذْتُمُوهُنَّ بِأَمَانَةِ اللَّهِ, because you have taken them from the amanah of Allah Azza wa Jalla. If someone hands over something to us, saying that in a couple of days' time, in a week's time, he is going to take that thing back from us, what do we usually do with that thing? Do we not try to keep it intact? Because this owner of this very thing is going to come back and ask you for that very thing. And if that thing is altered, if that thing is damaged, he might ask you a few questions. So you would rather want to play safe and not touch that thing. Even if it's a car someone gives you, saying that, I'm going for a trip abroad, I'm going to be back in about 15 days and I don't have any parking space here, can you please take care of my car? I'd like you to use it for your purposes, for your usages, for your routine. Take it to the office, take it to your businesses, wherever else you want to go. But please make sure that the car is in safe custody. How many of us do not want to keep that car safe? Especially because we know that a couple of weeks later this man is going to come back and ask you for his car back. Likewise, we have taken this particular entity called our wife, women. We have taken them as an amanah from Allah Azza wa Jal, and we need to maintain the sanctity, we need to maintain its serenity, and we need to treat her with the utmost beautiful terms. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam further says, وَاسْتَحْلَلْتُمْ فُرُوجَهُنَّ بِكَلِمَةِ اللَّهِ. And also you have made their private parts halal for you with the kalimah that you have recited of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And muhaddithin here question the attitude of a person who does not really want to have his wife, who does not really want to treat his wife well. The mufassirin, the muhaddithin have actually questioned the attitude of this man. If you can't really treat your wife well, which is, who you have taken from Allah Azza wa Jalla as an amana. If you can't really take care of your amana, there is a big question mark on your iman itself. So it raises a lot of questions. And while those questions may not reverberate, but there are those questions. We need to find answers to those questions if we are taking our wives lightly. And Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam further says, in another hadith, a person approaches Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and asks him the right of a man over his wife. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, إِذَا طَعِمَ أَن يَطْعِمَ إِذَا طَعِمَ, that he has to feed his wife whenever he is eating whatever he is eating. And also whenever whatever he wears, it's his right that he gives the very same kind of clothing. Not necessarily does not mean that if I wear a shirt, I'm going to give her a shirt. That's not what it means. Let's not play, let's not be stupid here. So, what the hadith is actually trying to say here is that, more or less of the same kind of quality, more or less of the same kind of price. And Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam further says, وَلَا يُقَبِّحْ. You're not supposed to abuse your wives. At times when you hear a lot of untoward comments from your wife and you get fed up at times, and you know that the fault is actually hers, and she also realizes that it's her fault, then you might as well want to sever ties with her for a little while. Maybe stop talking to her for a little while. Or maybe reprimand her for a little while. Or maybe stop, going to her in the bed. But do not abuse, وَلَا يُقَبِّحْ. Do not use foul language. Those food and beverages kinds of words that we use. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has categorically stopped us from using some of those things. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam further says, وَلَا يَضْرِبِ الْوَجْهِ. Do not hit her on the face. And there is a hadith, in fact, I must say that, before I talk to you about this particular point, when you open a book and when you see chapters in a book, you automatically know that every single chapter has got 3 to 4 pages a minimum, or at least 2 pages that it's talking about that particular heading. Move to the next heading, then that also has a couple of paper pages, not just a couple of lines, not just a couple of passages. Generally, when you give anything a title, you have to have sufficient content. And when you don't have a sufficient content, you may have other questions. But what I'm trying to arrive here is that Imam Bukhari rahimahullah has made a chapter, Bab Ma yukrahu fi darbin nisa. The chapter is about how hateful it is, how disliked it is to hit a woman. Especially when we say women, we are talking about our wives. how disliked it is, how inappropriate it is in the eyes of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Imam Bukhari actually thought of writing a chapter, and guess what? The chapter has only one hadith. That goes to show how important that particular chapter is. He could have pushed that hadith under any other chapter, under any other title. No, he made a very clear title suggesting Bab ma yukrahu fi darbin nisa. That clearly goes to show that yes, there is something that we, Indians especially, must think about this. Because we go spanking our wives very, very casually and every day, in some cases, of course. So may Allah Azza wa Jal protect us from doing something like that. And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, like I said, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam had a lot of pieces of advice for us. One small thing from the life of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Who doesn't know that particular story in which Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam is standing from behind Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam's back? Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha is watching certain Ethiopians perform some certain gymnastics. And Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha was watching from over the shoulder of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. After a little while, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam asks Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, "Are you done? Shall we go?" Not these words, once again, the gist. Are you done? Do you still like to stand and watch for a little while? What was the reply of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha? She said, "I'd like to be here for a little longer." Not that Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha was enjoying the Ethiopians do gymnastics there, no. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha makes a mention of it in that very same hadith at the end of it. And she says, not that I was enjoying watching those people do gymnastics. I was there solely for the people to realize how much Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam respected me, a woman. That's how much Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam valued Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha's opinion. He could have easily said, "I think you're done watching, let's go, we've got some other thing to do, we've got another business to, we have got other engagements also to follow maybe, or salah time, bedtime, this time." He could have done anything. I'll give you another narration of another such incident from the life of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself again. On one night, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam approaches Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha's cubicle, chamber. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha is there. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam takes off his shoes, takes off his clothes and lies down, pretending to be asleep. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha also lies down. A little while later, after ascertaining that Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha has fallen asleep, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam slowly, quietly gets up, puts on his clothes, puts on the shoes, slowly opens the door, gets out of the house, slowly, very softly closes the door, starts marching towards Baqi'. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala is not oblivion of all these developments. She also quickly gets up. She also puts her clothes on, the waist wrapper, the veil, the outer garment and everything. She also wears her shoes, and then she also starts following Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So to say, chasing Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam goes to Baqi', lifts his hands, keeps making dua, and then starts returning. While Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam is returning, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha also has to return, because Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam has left her in the bed sleeping. So now there is a small race between the two of them. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha realizes that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam is not just walking, is now briskly walking. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha also speeds up. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam starts to slowly jog. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha also starts jogging. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam starts to run. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha starts to run also. And Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she mentions that she finally is able to, and by the way, it's not those well-lit nights. Yep. So it's absolute pitch dark. Back in those days, 1400 odd years ago. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha somehow manages to overtake Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, go into the house maybe from the back door, and goes, sleeps the way she was sleeping while Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam had left. Now Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam as usual would come, open the door, take his shoes off, and he would see Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha slightly out of breath, maybe panting. He asks her, why are you out of breath? Now, whatever happened later, you may want to find out from the books of Hadith. The point that I was trying to mention, I wanted to create that curiosity. That's why I had to take you through this complete story. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam was so very mindful of the sleep of his own wife Aisha radhiyallahu ta'ala. How many of us, when we want to take a flight, especially at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, how many of us try doing something similar? Especially not to disturb the sleep of a tired wife. There are a lot of things, brothers, that I can talk to you about today. And in fact, I had thought that I would have sufficient time, not just to talk to ourselves, men, also to talk to our sisters. But inshallah ta'ala, the next time I'm here, I'm going to also talk about some pieces of advice for the sisters from the authentic narrations of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make us amongst those people who straight away enter Jannah. May Allah Azza wa Jalla help us. May Allah Azza wa Jalla forgive all the sins from us, and may Allah Azza wa Jalla let us die only in the state of Iman. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi Muhammadin wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi Muhammadin wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. I recited a very small part of another big ayah, ayah number 34 from Surah An-Nisa, Surah 4. Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa. Men are the in charge of women. And I don't know why. Like most of you don't know yourselves why. Most of us men take this particular ayah as a hunter. We use this particular ayah as a hunter and start spanking our wives left, right and center. Thinking that Allah Azza wa Jalla has made me your guardian. Allah Azza wa Jalla has made me your... Rather, Allah Azza wa Jalla has made me your hunter, ringmaster. That's the kind of mindset we have. Many muhaddithin have talked about this particular ayah. Some of the reasons why Allah Azza wa Jalla considers us men in charge of women, qawwam over women, is because Allah Azza wa Jal created us first, Adam alayhi salam first, and from the ribcage area of Adam alayhi salam, Hawa alayhi salam was created. That's one reason why men have been given that extra preference or a little bit of superiority. And also, men are physically much stronger, much muscular than women. That's another reason why men have been given this title, that you are qawwam, you are the in charge. Another reason. Allah Azza wa Jal clearly mentions in many parts of the Holy Quran that when it comes to taking or accepting witnesses, one man's witness is equal to 2 women's witness. So 2 women would testify as opposed to 1 man. So half the witness or half the witnessing, so to say. So that also goes to show, yeah, here you have a slight degree of superiority. And also in the case of inheritance of properties, man gets dual share of his sister. These are some of the fundamental reasons as to why Allah Azza wa Jalla says, Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa. And the last thing that I'd like to talk about. There is this ayah that most of us know. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير. And the next ayah, الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. You know, the second ayah, the translation of the second ayah is very important here. الذي خلق الموت والحياة, the one who has created maut as well as hayat, death as well as life. ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. So to find out who amongst you is best in terms of behavior, is best in terms of conduct, is best in terms of deeds. Now, another small spin to this ayah will leave us with a lot of questions that we have to find answers of. Allah Azza wa Jal on one hand is talking about He having created death as well as the life for us, and He wants to judge amongst us as to who amongst us is best. Ahsanu amala. Could it not be possible that Allah Azza wa Jal has created each one of us, man and woman? Allah Azza wa Jal could have made me a woman. Allah Azza wa Jal could have made any one of you a woman. Allah Azza wa Jal could have made any of these sisters men. But Allah Azza wa Jal chose to make you man, to make me a man, to make them women. There is a special purpose. And Allah Azza wa Jal is, trying to test each one of us here also. Not just in terms of maut and hayat, death and life, no. Also in terms of, if you have been created as a man, gentlemen, I would like to understand how you behave as a man. I would like to understand what you do in terms of carrying out the responsibilities of a man. I would like to find out how many times you would stop yourself from crossing that line. Same thing goes with women also. So Allah Azza wa Jal has created us. When Allah Azza wa Jal says, "Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa," doesn't mean that now we are the ringmasters. No, it doesn't mean so. Allah Azza wa Jal wants to test us this way. And whoever passes this test, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Whoever purifies himself and whoever stops, puts that line, draws that line, and does not cross that line, inshallah ta'ala will be successful on the day of judgment. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us also amongst those successful people. Ameen. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. عباد الله رحمني ورحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.